everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing the infamous 24-hour readathon. Now, I'm not a crazy person, so I'm not going to be reading for 24 hours straight. I'm going to be doing the classical edition where you record the time on your phone it takes to read within the span of 24 hours. That's it. Simple, straight, easy to commit to, and it's easy to track too because it's all already on your phone, and I feel like I can get more done within a recording time than if I just planned it from 12 p.m. today to 12 p.m. tomorrow. And so the TBR I will choose for this video is still undetermined. I don't really know what to pick because I know I want to start with Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson because obviously, being a booktok book, it's hyped everywhere. A lot of people who really love fantasy romance, specifically YA, usually recommend this one. And I'm here to see what the hype is all about. I heard it's a very much like a rebellion type of fantasy story mixed with a kind of royalty x commoner type of relationship dynamic, which sets up, again, classical enemies to lovers. We all know and love that trope. I am very excited just because if it's anything like my other favorite book, the Person Healer series, I know this will be another outstanding hit for me. Now, like I said, I don't know what other books I want to read, but I think the general idea would be like a fantasy romance vibe. If I do choose some kind of contemporary or literary fiction book, it'll pop up. That is the plan. Let's start reading it. So I've come to update on Dance of Thieves. I'm an hour into the time right now. I'm on chapter 12. Honestly, this is a really solid read. I can see why people really enjoy it. Cassie and Jay so far are getting along so much better than I thought it would go. And what I mean by that is that they didn't just jump into like an attraction at first. Like they had more or less an understanding for each other. So it started off as like a bit standoffish, easily growing into something else. Because like where I just left off, they were at the scene. It's not really spoilery. Like they were at a campfire. She couldn't sleep. So he decided to ask her about the riddles that she usually tells just to like help her fall asleep too. And so she tells him the riddle, and then he purposely says wrong answers even though he knows the answer. I tabbed that moment because it's such a sentimental part, and so far it's like probably my favorite section of the book that I've read so far. And honestly, it's so hard to put down. Like it's really good. So let's continue reading this. Okay, so at this moment, I just came back from the library, and yes, I have a Shoppers Drug Mart bag, which I use to carry all my books. Let's unhaul everything. So this is kind of what I'm gonna base, I guess, the TBR of this video on, and I'm just gonna select whatever books I want to read from here to read in this 24-hour readathon because I like having a lot of options and not just having select books that I want to read because I'm more of a mood reader these days. This is the stack of my lovely books. So we're just gonna go in order of what's on top. So literally upon entering, I found the Night Circus, and this thing is like a rarity to find. You can tell it's like in the worst condition possible, taped up everywhere. It's quite literally sliding out of the dust jacket, which is quite bad, but oh wow, it has a little hardback too. Wow, the library gets some good books. But I'm very excited just because I heard from a lot of different people, specifically a Clockwork Reader, Hannah. She adores this book. I heard it's a lot similar to Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and there's a bit of romance, and like, why wouldn't I love something like this? The next book I got was a graphic novel, and that is Guts by Raina Teligman. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but she's also the author that wrote Smile and Sisters. When I was growing up, I loved those graphic novels. I remember it was like a huge thing at the time. The next book that I picked up was basically intriguing to the eye. I saw it and the cover was just stunning. and I was like, what is this book? And I picked up Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This cover is gorgeous. I love the gold foil detailing. So it's about a marriage that kind of fell apart, and they're supposed to be co-parenting their children together, and it kind of involves rekindling those lost feelings while trying to co-parent and kind of fixing what was broken. I got a second graphic novel, and honestly, it looks gorgeous. So it's called The Golden Hour by Nikki Smith. If I'm being honest, like, the cover once again intrigued me. It's like a sunset. You have friends just like chilling in an open field on a haystack, clearly. It's just the color grading is so pretty. Like, if this doesn't scream like read me, I don't know what does. Clearly this whole haul was inspired by books I find aesthetically pleasing, or else half of them I wouldn't pick up. This is like Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Briggs. He's the guy who wrote Miss Peregrine's House of Peculiar Children. And then this next book is Miss Peregrine's Museum of Wonders, an indispensable guide to the dangers and delights of a peculiar world for the instruction of new arrivals. Whew, that is a long ass name. Here's the thing. I have never read Miss Peregrine's House of Peculiar Children or watched it because I know there's a movie for it. I feel like this is a good start since it's a guide to both. And then the last book I picked up purely on a whim because I saw it was in intact condition, and that is The Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. This one has been all over BookTok for a long time, and I've been putting it off for a long time simply because there's other books I have that I should read. It's just, I'm in the mood for it. I don't know why, but honestly, I heard so many really good things about this, so I'm very excited. So that basically sums up my little library haul. So let's continue reading Dance of Thieves. Okay, so I'm officially 3 hours into the whole 24-hour readathon, and so I made it up to page 192 now. I'm very much enjoying this book so far. I have tabbed it and started annotating a few of the times, and honestly, solid experience. I wouldn't say I'm like instantly in love with this book, but I'm very much enjoying it right now. I love all the slow burn enemies to lovers things that we're getting from this book. Now, this is an example of, like, I feel, of an actual enemies to lovers book. Most BookTok books these days tend to blur the lines of what is deemed enemies to lovers, and I'm excited to see where it's headed because, frankly, I just don't know. Maybe because I'm bad at predicting books, but because I don't like thinking about things too much, because then I feel like I'll predict it very easily, so I just let my mind go as it reads. It's very angsty. There's a lot of tension at this time, and I like where this relationship is heading, because at first there's a lot of like they're putting on a front to not say they like each other, but clearly the feelings are there, and we all know it. It's very obvious. However, I'm excited to see how it builds and grows and just improves from this point on, because I like these two, Jason and Cassie. I'm interested to see how he finds out more about her past, because clearly the way things are being revealed about the two of them, he's more open about sharing things about himself, but she is not. So I'm excited to see when they do reveal that aspect of her to him, how it will go down, how will he react. All these different things are just so exciting to me. Anyway, so I will continue. I think the next time I'll update will probably be when either I finish this book. So I've officially finished Dance of Thieves now, and current time-wise, I'm like a little under 8-hour mark, which honestly, pretty solid. Honestly, I am just so glad that I finished it. I like that I tabbed it and annotated a little. You can kind of see the markings if I flip through it a bit. What I liked is that what I'm discovering now with my new kind of annotating system is that it's very intentional, and I only tab certain things that I want to see. I'm not marking the whole page. It's usually like a few specific lines, and I usually just tab the general area that I was interested in, whether it was a romantic moment, whether it was a quote, or just something I just liked about the character. But nonetheless, I gave this book about a 4-star rating. It was a solid read. I honestly did really enjoy it. The last, I would say 150 to 200 pages was the best, because naturally everything goes down in those last 200 pages. There was a lot that happened. The reason I didn't give it the full 5 is simply because some things felt like it was happening too quickly relationship-wise, and I was surprised how things kind of ended up at the very end between them, because you would have expected just the hostility to last a little longer than it did, which I'm not too angry about because I'm just a sucker for a good romance. But then again, if I'm considering like how to be a little critical about this, it seems a little rushed in that aspect. So regardless, Dance of Thieves is done. Booktok was right on this one. I do like it. I would recommend reading it. Okay, the next things I'm hoping to get into are my graphic novels, so either Guts or Golden Hour. And honestly, both of these graphic novels are relatively short anyway, so I'll likely finish it today as well. For now, let's start with these books. Okay, so I'm currently at the 9-hour mark, and I have completed the 2 graphic novels that I said I wanted to read. First I read was Gut, and then I read The Golden Hour by Nikki Smith. Honestly, both really wholesome type of reads. Both of them kind of revolve around friendship, and a bit of PTSD is associated in these stories, so you see a lot of mental health descriptions really discussed in this, which I really like, especially for young adults. It's a really good discussion to have. And you see basically these main characters kind of suffer a bit of anxiety and PTSD from some kind of traumatic event that occurred. And so it kind of, you see reflected in a negative light in their life because they are impacted by its implications. And what I mean by that is that in Guts, the main character, Reina, kind of experiences a bit of anxiety when it comes to vomiting, and because she had a bad experience, and her family as well. And so it kind of impacted not just her social life, but her mentally and physically. And eventually you see her trying to cope with that and kind of learn to become better equipped to handling those kinds of topics and seeing a therapist. And it was just really, really nice. Honestly, her books, her graphic novels like Smile and Drama I read are really, really great. This one is so good. And then we have The Golden Hour, also a 4-star for me. I love, you know, the graphics in here, really good quality. Honestly, again, wholesome friendship. The main character, Manuel, he is like really into photography, so that's just like his passion, and you really see it embedded not only in his interests, but also it's involved in how he grounds himself and how he keeps himself sane when it comes to dealing with his PTSD and anxiety. And I thought that was a really, really great character trait of his. And also, I just love the representation in this book. So 9 hours, we have 3 books done. Okay, so at this point, I'm thinking I'll read like an actual full textbook now. I'll go with Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. So from what I gathered is that this book is about this couple who is now divorced, and they have to kind of struggle and figure out co-parenting their children, and eventually it kind of comes back to the point where they're trying to make things work between them again, and obviously with the children, and it's kind of like their story navigating it. So I'm really excited because I saw the Goodreads rating and it's actually really, really nice. And the cover is like gorgeous. Like, look at how the gold foil just like reflects, and it's just a beautiful person on this cover. The colors pop, and it's just like, it's a book that just says read me. You know what I mean? I think 400 pages could equate to maybe 4 or 5 hours of time. So by then, hopefully I'll be in like, what's 9 plus 5? 14 hours in. So I still have so much more reading to go, but maybe I'll take my time with this. Let's continue reading. It's so cute. It's actually like, are these lines so far? Good morning, it is the next day. So I'll put the time up on the screen because I don't remember what it was. I think I'm at 15 hours now. I thought this would go a lot faster, but I still have so many more hours to go, literally 13 hours. And I read so many books in only 15 hours, which is honestly kind of insane. I did finish Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Let me tell you, I was thinking of updating midway through. I think I did film a couple pages of like where I was during the updates, but frankly I didn't want to update just because I could not put this. I did not expect to love it this much. I gave it a 5-star. This thing, amazing. It is a happily ever after type of book, which I'm so glad. I was worried there for a second. I was like, are they gonna end up together? But you know, it all worked out in the end. I like that it's a standalone, so I don't have to worry about reading a series, and it's just like, I love the vibes of this, but it was just amazing to see how the relationship kind of progressed throughout the book. It is about 370 pages, so it's not super long. I'd say it's pretty standard. If you start reading this, you will whip through it so quickly. It is so easy to get lost in, and it's such a page turner. And I feel like all the characters are so unique and have their own interesting personality to them, which makes the story go by so much better just because you want to read about interesting characters in the book. Okay, the next two books, I think I'll just go with the Miss Peregrines. You know what's funny is if I actually complete my entire TBR that I got from the library in this vlog, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I did. The only book after these two that I have left is This Woven Kingdom, because I did mention that I want to save the Night Circus for another vlog entirely because I want to share my opinions and whatnot. But yeah, that's like the only book left. Okay, we are currently in the 17th hour of day whatever. Honestly, I don't know what day it is and what time I'm at and like how long I've been doing this video because it feels like I've been recording it for like 2 weeks now. I did finish Miss Peregrine's Museum of Wonders, yada yada yada. To be fair, I skimmed this book. Reading is a very loose definition of what I did. So I did get the general idea of what this is about. It's just a collection of facts and just basically a guide on the world, the characters, the magic system, like everything you need to know to basically read the main series. I've never read the main series, so I don't know why I thought I should just read this instead. The one thing I did really look into was the pictures, because who doesn't love pictures in the book? I'm not going to give it a rating though, just because how do you rate a guide to things that explains your story? If it wasn't for the fact that I will probably never read Miss Peregrine's stuff, I would keep this book. And I don't think I'm going to read Tales of the Peculiar just because, no offense, I'm not really interested in it. I don't know why. This is the classic case of like you choose a book based on the cover and not the actual stuff inside. So maybe next time I'll look a bit more into the stuff inside instead on the cover. The main reason for this update is because I started This Woven Kingdom and I'm on chapter 13, page 141, right there. So I'm honestly like a third of the way through. In one day, I read a third of the book. I could have read more, but I kind of got distracted, like always, and so I paused for a bit. Maybe that's the reason why this video is taking so long. I don't know why. I just have this theme going on where I read series in this vlog. I feel like readathons are usually the time to read standalones or novellas, simply because if you start a new series, you would want to finish it in the same vlog. Thoughts, evaluations on This Woven Kingdom. Honestly, it's actually pretty good. I think the one thing I see a common theme in Tahira Mafi's world building is that there's more like a lack thereof. I feel like I don't know what the setting is supposed to be like or the atmosphere. I can kind of guess at what it's supposed to be like, but I feel like it should be explained. Like, I shouldn't have to guess this. It should be in written format, at least in the first few chapters. And I'm on the 13th one. I do like the evolution and the kind of arc where the characters are right now. So we have Kamran, who is the prince of, I believe he's a human prince. And then we have Alize, who is the nobody servant girl. Let's be real, it's pretty obvious she isn't just a mundane girl, you know, looking for work in her mundane life. Like, she's a person of importance. I love it when in a romantasy you see like the first interaction between the pairing, and it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, how do I describe it? First interaction in a romantasy pairing is usually like the most profound, just because they have like that stare between each other, and then they have the longing gaze, you know, like it's all those things that you see in the first moment. And I love that. This one did so well in that first moment where they like genuinely looked at each other, and I'm excited to see where it goes this point forward. Although, as much as I would love to keep loving this book, I have heard some very mixed reviews about this in particular. My friend read it and she said it was a little slow at times. It took her a while to really get through it. I don't even think she finished it, to be quite honest. But other people said it's an okay book. There was things that could be improved upon, but that's okay. We're optimistic in this video. We are hoping for the best. This video has confirmed one thing. This has been a very successful vlog, the most successful one I've had yet. And look at that, not a single DNF in this video. I am so proud of myself, not gonna lie. Let's continue reading. Okay, so I'm basically 19 and a half hours in. I'll put the timestamp up here. And I'm on page 332 of this Woven Kingdom. This is probably the first time where I was like really invested in a scene. Like, I was like generally liking the book, but this is like the first time where I'm like drawn in like this scene, and it's just amazing. And so let me just say the line because it's literally the best thing I've read in this book. I think I might fetch you the moon if only to spare your tears again. I think that's going to be added to my favorite quotes, context-wise. The person that the guy is talking to or referring to when he's saying this line is afraid of the dark. And so she finds comfort in the moon. When he says, I think I might fetch you the moon if only to spare your tears again, is because in the darkness, if she's outside, the moon is her only source of comfort, so he would do it to stop her from crying. And I just thought that it was such an iconic line. Okay. I just love that. General thoughts about this book, though. I don't know. I feel like it's good. It's hard to say it's great because I feel like there's a lot of things that are just very vague and it's still being worked out at this point. But I can't say that this is a 5-star book or maybe even a 4-star book. It just doesn't feel that way right now. I think because of how good Tahir Mafi builds the romance, it will up the rating a bit, but I can't say it's a 5-star read based on what I've read so far. However, that quote is a 5-star for sure. Let's continue reading. I begin to fear you've done me irreparable damage. I should like to know who to blame. So the time is up for this Woven Kingdom. I have finished it, and the timestamp now is like 21 hours, but I rated this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was good. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was terrible. It was just fine. There was like 1 or 2 scenes that I really, really liked, which really gave me that extra half a star, or else I probably would have given it a 3-star. And that was primarily the really good romance scenes. But other than that, it was just a lot of okay stuff, if I'm being honest. My thing is that about this book, I know it's supposed to be inspired by a lot of Persian influence. My only thing is that if you take away the names of the characters like Alize and Kamran, and if you take away, quite literally, the look of the chapter titles like this and the Arabic lettering, I would not know it's actually inspired by Persian or influence, because quite literally, a lot of that culture you see represented in the environment, and also the language. They could have benefited, in my opinion, if the author used some like real language in this, and I felt like it would have made the connection better. And also the environment. I find this is a common thing with Tahar Mafi. She did this in Shatter Me too. She never really goes too much in depth about explaining the environment or just the, you know, landscape of the country or where the characters reside at the time. And that could have really helped the story, in my opinion, because if it is, again, a Persian influenced story, a lot of the environment should represent that age. You see markets, souks, the castle, or the palace, whatever they call it. Like, what does it look like? I know they described it briefly in like one of Kamran's monologues, but like, I still don't know. Like, quite literally, if you took out those few things that I mentioned before, I would not have known this was a Persian influence book because there's nothing else that gives it that edge. But here's the thing. It wasn't pitched or marketed as a Persian influenced story, although it comes off that way. So I'm not going to hold it too harshly to that degree just because it wasn't really mentioned on this, but it is what it is. Other things that I'm a little iffy about. I can see by the ending of this book, it's clearly she's trying to build a love triangle again. And I feel like the person I want to choose is not going to be endgame because I've seen how these kinds of stories play out, and I'm not going to choose the wrong side again. In a way, I am choosing the wrong side, but I feel like I know who's going to be endgame, and I really hope it's not that person. Another thing about Elise's character, a lot of the time, she's supposed to be this like very OP type of character with strong abilities, powers that people don't really know about, and she could quite literally use that to the best of her advantage. And I feel like a lot of the time, she's just like doing things people tell her to do and not really doing anything about it herself sometimes, especially when it comes to danger. Like when she's in danger, she could easily handle it herself and kind of figure out what she wants to do, but she kind of lets people take over and make her decisions for her. Like especially at the end scene where she's kind of like taken away. I'm not going to say what happened exactly, but she was taken away. And it's just like, why are you allowing this to happen? It's just, there's a lot of contradictories in the story, I find. And it's some things that are just not spelled out correctly or just not explained fully. Maybe it's because it's the first book and author is waiting till the second book to really go in depth about it, but still, like, I need more explanations here. Another thing is that this book could have been trimmed down a bit more, in my opinion. There's a lot of just chapters filled with random monologues about the characters and what they're feeling in the moment. Like, yeah, if it's like a paragraph, it's fine. But like when you dedicate a whole chapter to talking about why your bedsheets are blood red color and it symbolizes how bloody the aftermath of this event's going to be, like, I don't need a whole 5 pages to describe that. I need a paragraph at most. But you know what? It's fine. I think I would pick up the second book. I'm like very tempted to go to the library right now and get it. So, but I think I might save that for another vlog. I don't know. I'm literally this close to just going there and picking, because I know it's there. Or I have another thing. Because I have like a bit less than 3 hours left, I could finish the Stolen Heir. And I know I said I DNF'd it before, but like quite literally, I could finish it by the end of this vlog, because right now where I stopped at was like, I think chapter 7, page 122 of the Stolen Heir, and there's about 350 pages of it. So by the process of my mathematician skills, that's about like 230 pages. I could possibly get that done in that time. However, it's a little unlikely, but if I could finish it, that would be a very big accomplishment for me, because I actually finished a DNF book for once and not just like leave it for dust to collect. But I don't think I'll give it a high rating anyway, but it's just to say that I really finished it and I don't want to hold this against me later. So that's the idea. I don't know. I'll decide in the next few minutes or today at some point, because I really want to finish this vlog. This vlog is going on way too long for my own liking. So we will see. Okay, let's continue. At this point, there's quite literally 1 hour of time left. on my readathon, and I have 70 pages left. Now, if I read, if my calculations are right, about a page a minute, if not a little faster, I could finish the Stolen Heir by the end of this vlog, then amassing to about, what, 7 books read in this entire video. That would be record-breaking. So, we are going to finish this as fast as possible. Let's go. I've officially finished 24 hours worth of reading, and the total amount is 7 books. Honestly, I am very impressed with myself. It's currently August 21st. So I think I started this challenge probably in like the first few days of August. So although this vlog has quite literally taken almost a month to record, I'm still proud to say that I read this many books within 24 hours worth of time at least. Now what's interesting is that although the whole point of this is usually just to see how many books you can read within the span of 24 hours, but it's also interesting to note how long it takes you to read each book within a certain span of time. Like for instance, I started this book and finished it, I think within quite literally 4 hours or a little under. And this book is like about 500 pages, a little less, but still pretty solid record time. So that concludes my 24-hour vlog. Thanks for watching. I won't be doing this every month because it quite literally takes a month to film. And if I do that, then I won't have any other videos to film because I'm scatterbrained usually. Anyway, peace. Thanks for watching.